Would we be better off as a democracy, where we all decide things together, with two healthy competitive parties that aren't just driving themselves into the same gerrymandered districts? Molly and Mark are my special guests on this very topic. They're here, and we're back in 1 minute. And we're back with Molly Jong Fast, the special correspondent for Vanity Fair, host of the Fast Politics podcast, and Mark Thompson, a longtime political analyst, interviewed many candidates, host of the Make It Plain podcast. Welcome to both of you. I mentioned the wider history, Molly, because sometimes it does seem to get obscured. When you look at these 5 races, and like him or not, Vivek was the one who was able to say it. We'll put up on the screen again, completed. That's a lot of losses.
Yeah, they can't stop losing. And I think it's really important, this off-year election, this off year, 2023, they did not do well. Glenn Youngkin did not leave with a mandate, right? He lost the legislature, the state legislature. So I do think we saw, and in Kentucky, you saw Beshear reelected with more votes. So there was a feeling, and remember, Andy Beshear ran on abortion. He was unapologetic. He was talking about it. And what I think we've seen more and more since Dobbs has been overturned, since the end of Roe, is that abortion is health care, right? Women want doctors who can treat. They don't want doctors who are worried about losing their licenses. And you're really seeing this play out. And I think we really see American women do not want to die for Mike Johnson's religious beliefs.
Yeah. I mean, you put it starkly, and Mark, I'll put it this way. On the one hand, at a religious, spiritual, and personal level, people of good faith can have strong and different views about this very difficult issue. On the other hand, the Supreme Court ruling, the lead up to it, and the political project behind it is a lie. So I can say respect to people's feelings. Right. But reading from what Justice Alito said in that ruling, quote, "We don't pretend to know how our political system or society will respond to today's decision overruling Roe and the related case, Casey, Planned Parenthood versus Casey." They argued deceitfully that the ruling was somehow an opening of democracy, but it wasn't. It was an effort to, as you just said, affect health care and change the law. And the revolt against that is a rebuke not only, as mentioned, the Republican Party, but to the Supreme Court trying to lie people into this policy.
Well, the root of all evil is in the right-wing evangelical movement, which has been waging this war for 50 years. This is supposed to be a country that has no respect for any one religion. So to your point, people can disagree, but I think everyone has to agree that each individual has a right to make their own decision about what to do with her own body. And that's pretty much it. This is about women's bodily autonomy. And so this was an important issue. There's not been an election lost by the Democrats since Roe was overturned. And I think people also see, unfortunately, when this tragedy happened with the court, it also awakened people, wait a minute, they may get rid of marriage equality.
Sure.
We've already seen what they've done when it comes to voting rights and a number of other things. And of course, there were other issues we do have to mention. Mississippi didn't do bad in Mississippi, but Mississippi and Kentucky were also to health care about Medicaid expansion. I was in Kentucky and Mississippi with Bishop Barber and Parish of the Breach talking to poor people. Republicans want Medicaid expansion. And then obviously, too, in Kentucky, while Beshear ran on abortion, the only thing Daniel Cameron is known for is being unwilling to prosecute Breonna Taylor's killers, the police who killed them. And kudos to Tamika Mallory and Untold Freedom for organizing there. So I think people are aware of these issues. But lastly, on the issue of reasonable disagreement, obviously, Americans are divided. Shoot, some households are divided when it comes to what's going on in Israel and Gaza. Some young people are saying, we don't want to vote. But I think we have to keep our eyes on the prize here, lest we go back to fascism and a lack of democracy by default allowing Trump to come back in office. It's not as if his foreign policies are going to be helpful to either side. And, of course, all the other issues that are dear to people are going to be threatened.
Well, and Molly, I mentioned Groundhog Day, and it's great to see Bill Murray get slapped that many times. But when we put just the years on the screen, you know, it has not been by any means a close call when you actually look at what happens when voters turn out in the polls, the Electoral College basically dragged several Republicans over the finish line, and then they got to name Supreme Court justices on top of that. But what does this very simple chart tell you? And if this is a surprise to people in the Beltway, why? Why do people not know our recent history?
I mean, the thing that's amazing is these Democratic ideas are popular, right? Choice is popular. Legalizing marijuana is popular. These are popular ideas. And I think Republicans have a handful of really bad ideas, and then they have a candidate who has 92-plus counts of felony counts against him. So I do think this is not really a choice. I would say the other thing that I think is, when I think about the sort of lie the Supreme Court told us, I think about, when they overturned Roe, they said this was going to be states' rights. And then immediately they started talking about a federal ban.
A federal ban, which is exactly what people like Johnson and others in the House are going to go for. So, yes, as you say, it's lie upon lie, and it's catching up with them in a big way. And even though people are busy with many issues, they're seeing through it. So this was a kind of a larger picture we wanted to start with as we wrap the week. Molly, thanks for being here. You, sir, get to come back. I'll explain why. SNL veteran Sam J., a very funny comic, makes her Beat debut. She will join Mark by the end of the hour when we lighten things up.